750 out of 900. That's the exact line you cross to pass the Security Plus exam, and here's the part almost nobody warns you about. You can study every objective, know every term cold, and still walk out failing by a handful of points. Not because you didn't know the material. The questions that sink you are the ones you actually knew. One small word in the question quietly steered you to the wrong choice, and you never felt it happen. So today isn't a topic. It's the reading habit underneath every topic, the one the study guides skip.
Lewis here, and I've watched this same thing play out for 20 years across every certification track. People don't fail Security Plus because they can't explain a firewall. They fail because two answers both looked right, and the exam asked which one is best, not which one is correct. That's a different test, and hardly anyone trains for it.
That's the whole idea. This exam is built to test judgment, not just recall. Up to 90 questions in 90 minutes, barely a minute each. 750 out of 900 is the line you have to clear. And the wording is engineered to spend that minute for you so you can know the facts, misread the question, and the facts won't save you.
Hi all, I'm Liam, and honestly this was the thing I feared most walking into my first exam. My read is the writers aren't tricking you for sport. They're checking whether you can think like a real security professional when the clock is running and two options both look defensible. Am I close?
You're close, and this is the part that gets me fired up. Ordinary people study for weeks. They earn it. Then a single word, best, or first, or most likely, knocks them flat. That's not a knowledge problem. That's a reading problem. And a reading problem is fixable. We can teach the reading. That's the hopeful whole point of this one, so if the wording has ever robbed you, this is the video that hands the points back.
Before we go further, here's the question people type in under every Security Plus video, usually after the fact, usually defeated. They write, "I knew the material, but the wording got me. What am I doing wrong when I read these questions?" And the honest answer is, you're reading the facts, but not the actual question. So let's fix the reading.
So that's the mission. By the end, you'll run one reading method on every question, and the wording stops being a minefield. And if you want to drill it after, there are free practice questions waiting at certs.professorerica.com to train exactly this reflex. First up, the three little words that decide more questions than any topic on the exam.
Three words decide more Security Plus questions than any single topic. Best, first, and most likely. They're called qualifier words, and they quietly change what the question is actually asking. Miss the word, and you answer a question the exam never posed.
Here's what makes them so sneaky. The technical scenario can stay exactly the same. Swap only the qualifier, and the correct answer changes completely. Same facts, same four options, one different word, and suddenly a different letter is right. That's how two people with identical knowledge read one question and pick different answers.
And here's the trap in its purest form. The exam gives you four options, and two of them are genuinely correct security practices. Both are things you would really do on the job. If the qualifier is best, only one of them is the answer. The other becomes the distractor that ends attempts.
So here's the decoder we want burned into memory. Each qualifier sends you down a different branch, and the branch decides the answer. Start with best. Best means more than one option genuinely works, and the exam wants the strongest fit for this exact scenario. You're not hunting for a correct answer. You're ranking correct answers and taking the top one.
So best is a ranking word, not a right or wrong word. Then take the middle branch first, or its cousin next. My read is first is purely about order. The question hands you a sequence and asks which step comes at the front, and the most powerful action on the list is usually the trap. Powerful is not the same as first.
Exactly, Liam. Now the third branch, most likely. That word is about probability. The scenario lists symptoms, and the exam wants the most common cause, not the most dramatic one. If a server is crawling and the story mentions a flood of traffic from many addresses, most likely points at a denial of service, not some exotic 0 day in the kernel. The scary answer is bait.
and the same family hides inside most secure and most appropriate. Most secure does not mean grab the heaviest control on the list. It means the strongest control that still fits the scenario's limits, like a tiny budget or a two-person team. Best and most always bend to the context the question handed you. So the failure to kill is the small one. People skip the qualifier entirely, and a genuinely right answer suddenly reads as wrong. And Liam, you're making that face, so I think you've got the question the viewer actually wants asked. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do, and it's this. If more than one answer is correct, how do I know which one the exam actually wants? Because in the moment, both of them look like the right call, and I freeze.
The qualifier tells you. That's the whole answer. The word is the exam quietly saying what kind of answer it wants, ranked or ordered or most probable. So the rule is small and non-negotiable. Before you even look at the 4 options, find the qualifier and hold it in your head. Circle it. That one habit recovers more points than another week of cramming acronyms. Let me pause for just a second because this genuinely helps. If you are getting value here, hit that like button, then subscribe and ring the bell. It costs you nothing, and it is the single biggest thing that keeps these videos coming.
Enough describing it. Let's actually work one, because a real question makes it click. I've watched this exact shape trip people on exam day for years, so we're going to solve it out loud, the way you should in the test center. And the first move happens before you even glance at the answers. Here's the scenario. A user clicks a phishing link on a corporate laptop. The question asks what you should do first. Answer 1 says capture a full forensic image of the machine. Answer 2 says disconnect the host from the network. And this is exactly the moment people freeze.
And I feel that freeze because both of those are real things a responder does. My gut says both are correct, so my hand hovers.
That hover is the trap, and it's where good, prepared people lose the point. They stare at 2 right answers, panic a little, and grab the one that sounds most thorough. Thorough is not the question. Order is the question.
So let me put both answers on the board and rank them, exactly the way the qualifier tells us to. Both are valid security actions. But the word is first, so we sort by order, and only one of them can sit at the front of the line.
Look at the left column. Disconnecting the host stops the spread right now. It's the containment step, and containment is the first move in incident response. Every reason on that side points the same direction.
Wait, so imaging the drive is just flat wrong?
Not wrong, just not first. They're both correct. But image a machine that's still spreading malware, and the infection keeps chewing through your network while you work. The powerful action, done in the wrong order, becomes the mistake.
So the single word first was the whole question, and I nearly walked straight past it.
You did, and so does almost everyone. That's the human part I care about. The person who picked forensic image knew incident response cold. They weren't guessing. They just answered thoroughness when the exam asked for order, so they lost a point they had genuinely earned. That should never happen to you again.
So there's your method, live. Name the qualifier first. Confirm which answers are actually valid. Then let the qualifier rank them. Do that, and 2 right answers stops being a coin flip and becomes a question you already know how to settle. But coming up next, the smartest instructors split hard over exactly how you attack those last 2 answers, and that fight is worth having. Now the real fork, and it splits the people who teach this exam right down the middle. You've narrowed a question to 2 answers that both survive the qualifier. So what do you actually do next? And here's what's at stake. Get this order wrong under pressure and you talk yourself out of answers you knew. Liam trusts a first instinct prediction. Maya kills the wrong answers methodically. Liam, make your case.
Here it is. After I read the scenario and the qualifier, I cover the 4 options with my hand, and I predict the answer in my own words before I look. Then I uncover them and hunt for my prediction. The reason is the whole game. Distractors are engineered to look attractive, so if you read them first, they reshape the memory of what you knew. Predicting first protects you from answers built to bait you.
Maya, that sounds clean on a question he knows cold. Does it hold when he's not sure?
That's exactly where it cracks. Half the exam is questions where you don't have a clean prediction. You're not certain. And if you predict on shaky ground, you'll force a match that isn't really there. You'll see what you hoped to see, not what's actually written.
So on those questions, you flip it entirely. Walk me through the reverse.
I eliminate first. I read all 4, and I kill the ones that are flatly wrong, out of scope, or that break the qualifier. On most questions, 2 of them die instantly. So now it's a coin flip between 2 instead of 1 in 4, even on a topic I'm genuinely shaky on. I've turned a guess into a real chance.
But reading all 4 first is what exposes you to the bait.
Only if you read them looking for the right one. I read them looking for the wrong ones, and that flips the whole risk. I'm not asking which answer is attractive. I'm asking which answer is disqualified, and disqualifying is much harder to fake yourself into.
Let me push you both because the real answer lives right here. Liam, on a question you genuinely don't know, what does pure prediction cost you? And Maya, what does pure elimination waste on a question you know cold?
Honestly, on a question I don't know, pure prediction is dangerous. I'll invent a guess and then anchor to it. I'll concede that fully. On shaky ground, eliminating is the safer first move.
And I'll give you this back. On a question I truly know, reading all 4 wastes seconds and lets a slick distractor whisper at me. If I'm confident, predicting first is faster and cleaner. I'd still reach for elimination out of habit, but I can't pretend it's always the sharper tool.
Then here's my verdict, and it's sourced in how CompTIA designs these items in the first place, to test judgment, not reflexes. Gate your method by confidence, not by dogma. When you know it, predict first and confirm fast. When you're unsure, eliminate first to cut the field, then predict from what survives. Neither method wins outright. They're 2 gears, and your confidence is what shifts between them. That single rule settles the argument the best instructors keep having, and it's exactly how a real analyst reasons when the stakes are live. Two more habits, and then a flow you can run on literally any question. The first one sounds too simple to matter, and it's the biggest single upgrade most people make. On a long question, read the last sentence first. It costs you nothing, it works on every question type, and almost nobody actually does it.
I've graded enough of these to say it plainly. The opening sentences are often atmosphere, a company, a user, a bad afternoon. The real question, the thing you're being asked to decide, almost always lives in the last sentence. Read it first, and the whole scenario reorganizes around it. Every detail sorts itself into relevant or noise.
And the clues inside that setup have names. The exam plants keyword triggers, and each one points at a family of answers. If data was leaked or exposed, that's confidentiality, so you're looking at encryption and access control. If a file was altered without permission, that's integrity, so hashing and digital signatures. If a service is down or unreachable, that's availability, so backups and redundancy.
So the discipline is to trust the trigger, not the drama. My read is the setup will often dangle something alarming, an insider, a nation-state, a brand new vulnerability, purely to make you grab the dramatic answer. If every keyword points at a simple misconfiguration, the answer is the misconfiguration.
Now the part that wrecks the most well-prepared people, the performance-based questions. On Security Plus they appear first, before the multiple choice. Most candidates see 3 to 5 of them, and each one is weighted more heavily than a normal question. They're interactive, and they can quietly swallow your entire clock.
This is the single biggest time trap on the exam. A candidate hits a hard performance-based question at minute 2, decides to conquer it, and looks up 25 minutes later with partial credit on one item while 40 multiple choice points sit untouched.
So here's the rule that protects your score. You can flag a question, skip it, and come back. You are not chained to question 1. If a performance-based question isn't falling open in about 90 seconds, flag it, bank the easy multiple choice points you know cold, and return with your leftover time. A flagged question you come back to beats a perfect one that cost you 10 skipped questions.
So here's the whole thing as one flow you run on every single question, start to finish. Read the last sentence first. Circle the qualifier word. Map the trigger to a control family. Eliminate the two that break the rule. Then predict, or pick from what's left. 5 moves, and this is where Maya's eliminate first earns its keep on the questions you're shaky on.
And that's why knowing the material was never quite enough. The exam isn't only checking whether you memorized facts. It's checking whether you can read a messy, pressured question and pull the right decision out of it. That's a skill, and it's one you can actually practice.
So practice it on purpose. Run those 5 moves on a bank of practice questions tonight, out loud, and watch your real knowledge finally show up on the score. Here's the one rule to carry out of here. The exam can't hide the answer from a careful reader. So slow down and be the careful reader. Quick version before we close, start to finish. Find the qualifier before the answers. Read the last sentence first. Predict when you're sure, eliminate when you're not, and flag the performance-based questions so they never eat your clock. That's the whole method.
The line I'd carry out of here is that best is a ranking word, not a right or wrong word. Get that one straight, and a whole category of trick questions stops being tricky.
And the part that matters to me, you already did the hard work. This isn't more studying, it's reading what you already know correctly so the points you earned actually land. So send this to anyone who keeps failing questions they truly knew.
Next up, we tackle every acronym you must know for this exam, mapped so they finally stick instead of blurring together. Same idea, pointed at the alphabet soup.
If this reframed how you read these questions, hit like and subscribe, because we're building the whole Security Plus series in order, with free practice quizzes at certs.professorerica.com to drill this exact skill alongside it. Here's the one only you can answer. On your last practice test, what got you more, a topic you didn't know, or wording you read too fast? Tell us in the comments, because naming it is how you beat it. Same teacher, brand new lesson next time. Thanks for watching. This is Professor Erica.